Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Orphan Last, aka Skylar Madison, and today I'm going to be making a t-shirt for my Teesprings account. I currently do have some t-shirts for sale. A link will be in the video description below. And really quick here, I just kind of want to show you guys a little bit of what I've been working on. So if I go to storefronts right here, after you create a Teesprings account, you're able to go to View Store. Now this is what the customer winds up seeing. So I have a custom graphic up here. I have my logo up there, real nice stuff, and then you see the t-shirts that I currently have for sale. So just a little bit of information, and I'll be getting into talking about this. This is kind of like a video where I'm also kind of detailing a little bit of information about Teesprings, what you have to expect, and such like that. Now, creating a Teesprings account is just as easy as setting up a Facebook account. There is no real investment or anything. This is one of my t-shirts. I think it turned out pretty good, but ultimately, my favorite t-shirt that I've made so far is my Dare to Dream t-shirt right here. I think it turned out looking really, really sharp. But anyhow, you'll see that, it's priced at $24.99. You can get some cheaper t-shirts and stuff like that, but for subscribers that are thinking, oh yeah, I want to give Orphan Last, 25 bucks. It doesn't matter what t-shirt you buy, I'm only getting $1.50, okay? Regardless of what t-shirt you buy, like if you choose to buy. I don't expect people to buy necessarily. I would appreciate it if you did and all that. But ultimately, one of the things that I set out for when I go about creating a t-shirt is something more than what you normally see. So like if I go on to Teesprings just in general and just look at apparel as an example, just apparel in general, okay? I don't know why anyone would buy these t-shirts, and it gets me to think that, most of the time when people buy t-shirts from Teesprings, they're buying them for supporting, a content creator and such like that, but there's no real reason beyond that. As you can see, most of these t-shirts, they take minimal amount of effort in order to create, and that's something that I would like to avoid. I want to have something that looks professional and excellent. 99% of them are just nothing but text. I don't have any problem with having text on a t-shirt, but what I have a problem with is just when it's nothing but the text and that's it. Yeah, I don't know why you would buy that shirt. Bitches can't fish. Well, and it's a t-shirt for women. I don't know why a woman would buy that shirt. I just don't understand that. Donut worry, be happy. Okay. T-shirt with fork with spaghetti on it. Okay. I keep seeing a t-shirt that says "Just eat it." Thanks for the Weird Al Yankovic reference, I guess. I still don't want to buy the t-shirt. Here's an intentionally that's just ugly looking shirt. They just wanted an ugly looking shirt, and it looks like a Christmas shirt. So I guess you buy it one season out of the year, I guess, and yet they advertise it every season of the year. Yeah, I see a few t-shirts that are somewhat interesting, like something like this. Oh, okay. I keep clicking on it, but it keeps taking me to the wrong place. Like this t-shirt looks actually half decent. Occasionally I will run into, oh, here's a nice one. It depends on what it says. She persisted. Okay, I don't know what that means, but very beautiful silhouette, interesting gradients, kind of watercolor splotches going on throughout the silhouette and all that. Very beautiful, very interesting looking. Red, white, and brew, I guess if you're a beer addict, yeah, that's nice. World's greatest farter, father. Oh, yeah. I don't know. If I was a father, I don't think I would appreciate that t-shirt, to be honest. But yeah, these are, it doesn't take very long for me to look through Teesprings to see what people have been creating to make me wonder why would anyone buy that t-shirt, okay? If this is the best you can do for making a t-shirt, have at it, that's great. But ultimately, throughout the years of me being on YouTube, I've been creating assets. For example, I have what I call the mascot repository. Some of it needs to be revamped. For example, when I initially introduced my mascot, most of these I've never even used here, but when I first introduced my mascot, he had a green t-shirt. But the thing is I wanted to kind of make it so that he looked less and less like the Jazza avatar, so I gave him a suit and tie. And some of these I've only used once, some of them I've never used, But yeah, I mean, the idea is that I can use these images of my mascot over and over again, but not just for thumbnails, but also for things like products and such like that. So yeah, I mean, this would make a pretty cool shirt right here. I gave him a suit and tie and all that as the years went by, and yeah, I think I've done a really good job in accumulating assets that I could just use to make t-shirts and such like that. For example, like this right here, some of these are really good. Some of the images of my mascot I've wound up deleting over the years, but yeah, you know, even this, I think I might delete this just simply because even though I worked on it, I'm not very proud of any of the imagery. Some of them are kind of like little screw-ups that I've made. I don't like this at all. I kind of like that. But yeah, like generally whenever I draw out my mascot, I save it. But also throughout this entire process, I have been going and saving large versions of my thumbnails, and regardless of if they're large or not, most of them are vector graphics. For example, if I go to this one, you can definitely see that it is a vector graphic. I can just keep on zooming in on it and it will never lose resolution. And so you know, I might be able to figure out a way how to make this into you know, a t-shirt down the road. The problem with trying to get a thumbnail into being a t-shirt, this is something that I figured out really quickly, is like, take this one for example. Okay, the thumbnail is designed to be very horizontal. It's landscape instead of portrait view. And so with a t-shirt, like if I go back to my Teesprings and go to the t-shirt that has that particular imagery, like you can see that, you know, if I just left him here at the bottom, it would be accentuating the width of a person, which makes people feel like they're fat whenever they wear your clothes. So, you know, I put in my my logo up here, and you know, that kind of gives it more of a portrait feel, and it'll make people feel as though they look good wearing your clothes. So these are things that you should consider when you're designing clothing. So in general, if you are a possible content creator, if you're currently making content or thinking about making content down the road, and you're making some damn good looking thumbnails, and you're thinking, yeah, down the line I might be able to make them into a product later on, just keep in mind that it's not just as simple as just grabbing the thumbnail and throwing it in there. For example, I have this image of 3,000 subscribers. This was my thumbnail when I hit 3,000 subscribers. Now, once again, I do have a t-shirt centered on that design, and so just let me go ahead and get into it. The Dare to Dream shirt. Okay, so you can see I had to change the text. Me just removing the text kind of removed the whole point of taking a look at the image. Okay, like let me just do it right now. See, it's a nice image and all, but there's no, like, it looks so much better with the text overlaid on top of it. And the thing is that's kind of interesting is that if I grab the objects inside of it and pull it out, you know, it's actually, well, here, let me press Control Z to show you what I mean. If I try to move the text, you can see that the artwork that is colored kind of more in purple and pinks and stuff like that, the artwork inside of the text is clipped inside of it. So basically all I did was I wound up copying the artwork and throwing it into my text layer. That's all I did, really. And then I manipulated the graphic for it, and I gave it a gradient map. And then, you know, I added all of these little circles to exist inside of there, at least with the thumbnail design. Okay, and when I went about making the t-shirt, you know, I wanted some of these little pink bits to kind of stick out of the circle. It seemed like an incomplete design without that, and so that's the reason why some of the decisions were made the way they were. I think that's one of my best t-shirt designs that I've made so far. Really quick here, let me go into here. This was the first image that I drew with the intent of making it a t-shirt. I can also change it to black. I think it looks better in black, but you know, there are some people that need to do construction work or something, and they might want to wear this t-shirt when they're outside in the heat or something along those lines, or maybe it's just hot outside. I think it looks good in blues. Specifically, I think it looks really good in this. It's not a royal blue, but yeah, it's not a baby blue. It's somewhere in the middle. I think that looks really nice. My personal opinion. I can picture me wearing that, and ultimately, I'm trying to make products that I personally want. And if people want it, great. I really I want other people to want it, but ultimately, I'm making products that I want. I've wanted an Orphan Last mug, coffee mug, ever since I started my YouTube channel, and now I have one getting shipped to me right now, which is awesome. So yeah, let's get into this, okay? So when you set up your Teesprings account, let me go back to the home page to Teesprings. Okay, so we're right here. You click on Start Designing, and then it presents you with all the different sorts of products that you can create. You know, cloth face masks. Personally, I've thought about variously different ideas for that, but I don't see a point. A face mask is never enjoyable to wear. Fanny packs.
Who the hell wears a fanny pack?
Pet hoodies. That might actually be cool, but I can't see me making products for animals. My channel isn't about animals. It says I can make posters and stuff like that. I'm not quite sure if the poster is something like just made out of paper or what it is. I'm not sure if I want to go through Teesprings in order to print something that you could frame and hang on your wall, that sort of thing. So but you can make shower curtains. I don't know. You guys let me know what you would want to buy if you would ever consider purchasing anything. Evidently, I can make a baseball cap, but the thing is when I press Start Design, I'm presented with this, and it's not the same sort of thing as when I select to get a t-shirt made, and I'm able to just immediately start designing a t-shirt. But it seems like there's like an extra contract to go through or something for something like that. I guess I can make a hoodie or a beanie sort of thing. But even still, there's an additional contract you have to go through. But if you keep scrolling down to where it says apparel, you can find a variety of different types of apparel that you can go ahead and make. For example, what I've been normally going and selecting is the unisex men's t-shirt. Okay, when I go ahead and click on that, you can see immediately I can add an image or I can add text. Now, if I'm going to add text to my artwork, I'm going to just do that inside of Affinity Designer. For those of you that don't know what Affinity Designer is, it is just like Adobe Illustrator. In some ways it's better, in some ways it's not quite as good, but when people say, well, which one is genuinely better, I would say they're about just as good as the other, only that Affinity Designer is one flat fee of $50, whereas Adobe Illustrator, you're going to be paying for it every single month till the day you die. So when presented with a choice of do you get Adobe Illustrator or Affinity Designer or Affinity Photo or Affinity Publisher or something like that, which are Photoshop and Adobe InDesign alternatives, I would go with Affinity products any day of the week. Affinity Photo, Affinity Designer, Affinity Publisher, any day of the week. But anyhow, more about what's here to the left. You can press plus and you can change the color of your t-shirt. You just start selecting a bunch of different colors, and you press done, and you now have those colors presented in front of you, and you can switch to those colors at any point in time to see what that looks like. You can also, like here in the preview, you're able to see in real time, you're able to see your artwork on the t-shirt front to back, and change the color of it as well. Okay, So that's really handy. But the thing is that you know, you're mainly going to be doing your work in the design section. Okay, so let me just deselect these colors really quick here. I like to work with white initially. Okay, so then it says your price. Okay, so it wants me, Teesprings wants me to earn $10.43 for every t-shirt sold, and that would make a t-shirt $33. Well, no, I'm not doing that. So let's go 23. No, 24. Okay, so there I am close to $1.50 worth of profit for every t-shirt sold. I would prefer taking a pay cut, I guess. As long as it is giving the customer, the subscriber, you know, a reasonable price. $24.99 to me seems like it's a little bit on the high end, and so a $30 t-shirt seems like
Well, no way in hell am I ever going to buy that t-shirt if it's at $30.
okay. But once you're done with this step in the process, you're presented with other options, other clothing options that are less expensive. For example, like when you go onto my Teespring store, if I select any of my t-shirts, you can click here and you can see women's classic tee, women's comfort tee. There are other versions of my t-shirts that you can get that are like $13, $14, okay? But typically that's because they're made for women. If I could get men's clothing to be less expensive, then I would. It's just, you know, the unisex t-shirt, it tends to be $24. So the women are in luck. I seem to have extra products that will appeal towards women. But you know, I have occasionally a tank top. Okay, Dare to Dream. Oh man, I look at this and I just. Then you can get it in black. It looks great no matter what. Not to toot my own horn though, but I like it. I want it, and so that's why I'm saying that, I guess. So basically what I want to do is I want to open up this app. You can get the snipping tool on Windows 10, or I have Snip and Sketch. Okay, Snip and Sketch, I click New, and then I go ahead and select the area that I want to take a picture or a screenshot of, and that looks good. And now I'm just going to save it, and I'm going to save it as AAA, and there we have it. Okay, it's saved on my computer. Now I'm going to go into Affinity Designer, open it, and you know, I have this t-shirt template. This template is generic. It has nothing like there's no reason why the artboard is those particular dimensions at all, and I want to get things to be more streamlined in the workflow when making a t-shirt. So what I'm going to do is go File, Place, and get that screenshot out of my Downloads folder. AAA right there, click right there, click, Control click this, and just get it a little bit more magnified, and that looks good. Let me activate snapping up there and get it in position. Select the artboard, select the artboard tool, and there we have it. That's the size of the template. I'm going to go ahead, File, Save. There we have it. Okay, now one thing that I think is interesting here is up here, this is the right sleeve, the back, the right sleeve, the front. Okay, and then we have the left sleeve, front, left sleeve, back. Okay, cool, right? All right, so I'm gonna go into some of my thumbnails here, and I know that my logo is here, and I'm just gonna go into here, select my logo, activate it, deactivate it, copy it, and then paste it. Okay, so one thing I want to do really quick, this template here, I want to rename it from AAA to template, so that I have a template layer, and I'm going to lock it. That way I can't delete it or anything like that. I also want to create another object, and I'm just going to make a big square, and I'm going to get rid of the stroke for it, and I'm just going to make it black, and I'm going to call this contrast. All right, and so one thing that I know that I want is I want to add a border around my logo. So I'm going to select my logo really quick here, and I won't be able to see that border until later. Okay, so I'm going to just rotate this 180 degrees, control click, and just make it smaller, and that looks about right there. And then I'm gonna zoom out, control click, and bring it out over here, and just kind of get it nice and centered, I guess. Kind of try to get it lined up with the other one. Hopefully. For some reason it's having difficulty doing that, so I'm going to create a guide that meets up with it just right. Okay, that looks good. And then I'm just going to grab this object and butt it up right against there. And for some reason, it doesn't seem to butt up against it just right. For some reason, it wants to snap to it in a strange way. So I'm going to move this over here, and that way, when it snaps to that particular guide, it snaps to it the same way. Yeah, that looks good. So just picture someone walking around having my logo on the sides of both of their arms. I don't know if that is appealing. I hope somebody out there thinks that would be kind of cool. It's an experiment to see if people would actually want it. All right, so now I've mentioned that I have a number of assets. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go File, New, and I'm going to do something that's more portrait if I can. Yeah, I am just gonna select 1920 by 1080, and I'm gonna, instead of landscape, I'm gonna go portrait right here and click, and there we have it. Okay, and I have my mascot repository, which I showed you guys earlier, and I think I want to use an asset from this particular part of the repository. Maybe this one. This one's fun. Okay, so I'm just gonna select it, go Control C and close out, and I have my T-shirt template, and then I have my mascot here. I don't need that anymore, so I'm going to close it. No, I do not want to save any changes to it. And so now I have this new document that I created. So I'm going to go Control V, and I'm going to resize it. You can see just how big I tend to keep these objects. I'm going to press Control Z real quick and click here, and I am going to scale with object. That way, when I start scaling this down, all of the lines scale within the same proportions. If I don't do that, with my vector artwork, what happens is when I start scaling them down, you'll notice that all of the line work looks just trashy. So Control Z, and I scale with object, and you will want to use vectors when you're doing t-shirt design. Some people use rasters, which means just something like Photoshop or Affinity Photo or Clip Studio Paint. Some people use software like that where 99% of the artwork is constructed with pixels rather than math. Vector artwork is constructed with math, and so no matter how close I zoom in on the object, there's never any point where that object is going to lose resolution. And I no joking, Affinity Designer will allow me to zoom in indefinitely, probably until the program will crash. So really quick here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on this effects, and I'm just going to thin out the outline, and that's looking pretty good already. Okay, so when I initially started to do all of this portion of the tutorial, I feel as though it started to become too much of an Affinity Designer sort of tutorial and not so much of a tutorial about graphic design. And so basically the idea is that I wanted to have something that was more, I guess the term is synthwave. Some people don't know what I'm talking about when I say that. But basically I wanted something that looks like an old 1980s sort of graphic style to this. And you can see that I just created a whole bunch of cylinders, and then I used an erase blending mode in order to create that gradient effect that you used to see in the 1980s. That is, assuming you were alive in the 1980s. I remember seeing it just a little bit, not too much, but yeah, that's ultimately how I did it. Normally, when I'm working with graphics and stuff like that, instead of Affinity Designer, when I'm doing things like drawing and stuff, I use the pixel persona, and I do a bunch of sketches and stuff like that, and then I refine the sketch later on using the vectors as an inking layer sort of process. And but the thing is that I kind of just knew intuitively what I wanted out of this image, and so that's exactly what I did. I did think that I wanted to have some palm trees in the background, and you can see me kind of experimenting with that a little bit here and there. But as time wore on, it became clearer that no, I don't think that would fit in this image, this composition, and such like that. And I actually have two different types of sky layers, and they have two different types of gradients applied to them. And I actually used the transparency gradient tool inside of Affinity Designer, and kind of blended those two gradients, those two skies together, and I think that came out looking really sharp. And at this point I went ahead and just applied the shadows and the highlights to my pre-made asset. Now, when I initially made the mascot repository, I had light and shadow applied to my mascot, but one of the things that I wanted to focus on with my thumbnails when I was initially creating these, they were being used for thumbnails, I wanted to use them as something that just not only could be used as a product later on down the road, but I wanted them to be reused with different kinds of lighting. And so inside of the mascot repository, if I use it at all, I decided to just get rid of all of the shadows and highlights. So every single thumbnail that you've seen thus far with my mascot, every single time it has had like custom shadows and highlights specifically for that thumbnail. And the same thing applies with the t-shirt design. If I wind up using I don't know why I would use this particular asset specifically again for a t-shirt, but if I were, hypothetically, I would still custom build all of the shadows and highlights for that. I don't know, maybe I might just use just a portion of this particular asset of my mascot, maybe just the face and such like that. Now, I would like to take this moment actually to address a little bit of an elephant in the room. You may notice that my voice sounds a little bit weird. This is temporary. I have a new microphone being sent over to me through the mail. I just purchased one. If you guys have been following my community section on my channel, I have a rather long little blog post where I typed up my frustration. I had a blue snowball microphone, and there is some sort of internal mechanism inside of it that it has malfunctioned. And I replaced the cord and plugged it in, same problem. And so after 2 or so years of having it, it took a dump on me. And so I have a good microphone being sent over. So if you hate the sound of my voice, rest assured next week I'm going to be sounding a heck of a lot better, and all that good stuff. So as things start wrapping up here with the shadows and highlights, you can see it really starting to come together. And so the rest of my voiceover comes swinging on in right here. Okay, so everything here is looking really nice. In fact, I think it looks really stinking sharp. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to grab everything inside of this file and just group it together. Control G and call it artwork. Now there's a little cautionary tale here, okay? When I look at the floor here, the purple floor, looks really nice, right? When I press Control C and then go into my template here and press Control V, you'll notice it looks wrong. Well, what in the world happened? Well, you turn off your template and everything will look just fine. The template, I mean, you don't want your image to render with the template on anyhow. The template is just to show you where everything should be, and that's it. Okay, so one thing really quick off camera, something that I did is originally I had these logos here set to being something like that, and I know for a fact that that's going to render them upside down on the t-shirt, and I don't want that. So this is more so along the lines of what I want right there. I am kind of debating whether or not to just keep it on the right sleeve or something instead of having it on both, but I don't know. I'm just going to keep it the way it is. Okay, so the artwork here, all right? So there's some cool stuff that we can do with it. Let's go ahead and try to position it in a good spot. And this what I'm doing here will only work for one particular shirt in Teesprings. So doing it this route, it works, but only for one t-shirt design, and I have that intentionally planned out. So the thing is if I were to just decide this is good, I could press Control and Shift and move this over here, and you know, I have everything all laid out right there to be my t-shirt. But also the thing is also this, basically I know how to draw panoramic images, so I could do a cylindrical 4-point perspective image from the back of the t-shirt to the front of the t-shirt and everything, and have it be really seamless. I could just split the composition in two and just decide, okay, this is 180 degrees and this other side will be another 180 degrees, and the template will help me be able to line everything out just right. Maybe in a future point in time I'll be able to do that for you guys, but as of right now, this is just what I'm doing. This is what I want to do at the moment. Alright, so I'm going to turn off the template. Well, I'm going to keep the template turned on. There's a few things that I kind of want to change with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my artwork layer, and I'm just going to select my sky and then select this corner tool. Okay, and then when I select the sky to where these little nodes appear, I should be able to select the corner tool and just kind of round it out. Okay, and that looks good. Alright, so when I turn off the template, does it still look good? Yeah, but I kind of feel like this needs to be rounded here, down at the bottom. Alright, that looks really nice. Okay, so, you know, this is a $23 t-shirt, so might as well get the biggest bang for your buck and have the same graphic printed on one side as it is on the other. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and press Control-Shift and call that good. Alright, yeah, that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off my template. This is how everything's going to be laid out, and you'll see how that all looks like laid out on the t-shirt. Okay, so I'm going to go File, Export, and actually I'm going to select all of this real quick. File, Export, Selection Without Background, sounds good. Export, Orphan Last Starry Sky t-shirt. Alright, let's go ahead and just call it that. You can see it's exporting at this point in time. And when I go into Teesprings, I'm able to add an image. Okay, so I add the image and we can see Orphan Last Starry Sky. Alright, let's go ahead and add that. And we can see everything pretty much just lines up almost immediately, just right, on Teesprings. And so I'm just going to line things up just a touch, try to make things look just right. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Now let's go ahead and just click here. Let's get rid of the white color and add black, okay? Because I think this is going to look good with black. So now I'm going to go preview. Okay, so that's the front and that's the back. I think I want a different shape, to be honest. So and this is normal. You will be going into Teesprings, taking a look at what your t-shirt looks like, and maybe you might not want it to look like that exactly. So I'm going to delete this one really quick here, and I just want to select this sky here and select the corner tool and maybe activate my template and kind of round off this top significantly more, like so. That looks good, but there's a little bit of a gradient going on with the other sky, the blue sky, so I'm going to go ahead and round that off just a touch, and that looks kind of cool. Maybe this could be a little bit better. So let's round it out even more, but try not to make it look all oblong. So let's say 760 on the radius on the right side and 760 on the left side. That way it's not oblong, but the blue sky is just a little weird. So I'm going to click on the left side, 760. Ooh, that's too much. So I'm just going to play around with it. That looks good. And that looks good. Alright.
Cool beans. Cool beans. Cool beans.
But actually I'm seeing a problem here. Okay, cool. So deactivate the template and
cool.
that looks awesome. So now I'm going to grab the artwork layer activate the template, and maybe the artwork layer just needs to be a little bit bigger. Now I've made it so that it can be bigger, and I want it to be bigger. So let's make it that way. All right, so far so good. So Control Shift and bring it on over to the other side, and let's see how well that lines up. Just moving it around, holding Shift. All right, deactivate the template real quick. Looks good to me. Okay, so File. Oh wait, let's select all of these. File, Export, Selection without background, Export, and select this one. And now let's take a look at how it looks in Teesprings. Now when you add artwork back into Teesprings, like if I go Add Image, I'm going to have both of these files in it, the old version and the new version. So I'm just going to delete what's here, Add Image, and select it. Okay, and it's immediately looking awesome. So I'm going to scale it and just put it into place to where it looks like it's lining up just right. And this might take a little bit of time just to get it just right. I think that's looking good. Let me go ahead and look at the preview. Okay, that's the front. And that's the back. It looks excellent.
I like it. I like it a lot.
And so I'm going to set a price tag for it for $24.99. We can see that I am going to make $1.50 for every purchase of this t-shirt. That is if it ever sells. But it's been fun making it, so continue. And here it's going to present you with all these different options for different products that you could put this graphic on. However, it won't look right. I'm just telling you right now. If you use this template here, for your work here, like that, like this here, if you use this and line it all out, it'll only work for one t-shirt design. And for me, I'm okay with that. I only wanted it made for this particular t-shirt design. And the reason why it doesn't look right is because look at this woman's t-shirt. My logo is here and right here. So it's going to make...
It's gonna make it look like she's wearing nipples and it has two replicas of the same graphic underneath each one.
So it doesn't quite look right, okay? Same thing with all these other versions. Even if you wanted it to be like this little handbag, still doesn't look right. As leggings, it might be somewhat interesting, but really if you want leggings, then if I click edit, you know, you can see the preview. It doesn't quite look right. In a way, it looks kind of cool, but it still doesn't look right. But like you can situate things. It'd be best if you made a graphic for leggings that you actually use this template, that you actually screen capture that template right there in front of your face right there, and actually made a graphic specifically for that. I don't see me making anything like leggings anytime soon personally. So I'm just going to press back and yeah, things turned out just fine. If you ever follow this video and you know the leggings are still appearing right here, just untick this box right here and everything will be just fine. Okay, so I'm good with that. So I'm going to click on continue, and then Orphan Last Starry Sky as the name of the t-shirt, and so it asks for a description. So this description, you kind of want it to just, you know, blind people still have to buy t-shirts, okay? So try to appeal to them. So on both arms
of the t-shirt,
there is an Orphan Last logo. The graphic on the front and back of the shirt are the same. But as for a description of the graphic on the body of the t-shirt, it has the Orphan Last mascot in a what is that pose referred to? I have no idea what to call that that pose specifically.
Reach for the sky
Sort of pose with a retro 1980s style sun setting in the
background.
All right, that sounds good to me. That works. Okay, I don't know what to call that pose.
Reach for the sky.
I don't know. I'm thinking Buzz Lightyear in a way. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and click publish.
Hold tight, your great designs will be live shortly.
Okay, excellent. Generated product.
Alright, cool. Beans.
So we can see it now. It's now listed and it's for sale, and that's cool. I can also share this design on Twitter and Facebook at this point in time. If I wanted to do that, I could go ahead and do that. Anyways, guys, that pretty much concludes it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And if you guys would like to get more notifications from me, feel free to join my Discord. A link to my Discord is in the video description below. If you'd like to support this channel, there's an image of my mascot in the upper right corner of the screen. It leads to my Patreon. Any support would be much appreciated. If you've enjoyed this content and would like to see more, feel free to click on anything else that's appearing on the screen right now. Thank you very much for your time.